Hi, hello everybody. I'm sure everybody is getting increasingly more hyped as we get even closer to launch. Every single day that passes brings us one step closer to actually playing Destiny Rising on its full release. However, unfortunately, as you can probably tell from the title of this video, all is not sunshines and rainbows. There are still issues in Destiny Rising, and this is hopefully going to shed some more light on it. Now, I've been talking about a lot of the positive changes that have been occurring for Destiny Rising that was included in the Chinese beta. And that's been doing very, very well for me. However, what I value more is being honest both with myself and with my viewers. For my longtime viewers, you would already know that I have criticized the monetization of this game very heavily, especially when it came to certain things like the black market system. One of the reasons why I went against it so heavily is because it felt like a rug pull. You go through all of this progression, all of this campaign stuff, and then when you finally hit the end game, you're put into an extremely long and arduous grind that takes so much time just to max out one singular character. Now, I will preface this, they have made some improvements. Unfortunately, those changes were not enough. Now, in order to figure out more information about the Chinese beta, I've been camping Bilibili, and I found this one video right here titled, and this is a machine translation, but the title essentially goes, "The mobile game Destiny is far more than Genshin Impact. It smells like Krypton gold everywhere." And Krypton gold is essentially their phrase for monetization or microtransactions. So the title is essentially saying it's more expensive than Genshin Impact and there's microtransactions around every corner. And when I saw this video, I was mostly only watching it to see what other kinds of things that they might have added or changed. And in particular, I was trying to watch stuff for the black market, because that was the primary thing that I was trying to figure out more information on. And from right here, we can see clearly that there's still that dastardly plus sign right next to those black market coins, meaning that there's still very likely the ability to purchase black market coins directly for silver. Now, he didn't showcase this in the video, but what he did showcase is the fact that all of the black market item exchange prices are practically the exact same. Or however, these also now show the exact amounts of rep gain that you get per every purchase, but you can also now restock individual items, which you weren't able to do before. So you can kind of seemingly, so long as you have enough restocks, just rapidly purchase a whole ton of items in this shop, which I really don't like. When we go further, we can see that there's still stuff like the catalysts in the shop, and there's actually battle pass tokens being sold in the black market as well. And this guy, or this video right here that I have pulled up, it was actually really funny for me to watch because it kind of just seemed like a Chinese version of my previous videos ranting about the monetization and other issues with Destiny Rising. And the reason why it's important to know that the Chinese players are actually complaining about these issues is the fact that since this is their primary audience and that there is a significantly smaller gap between the Chinese players and the developers of this game, there is a much stronger chance that with the synchronicity of our feedback, both the North American feedback and the Chinese feedback being united against these mechanics, there is a significantly higher chance that this actually gets improved upon and fixed. Now, I will say, I'm not as vehemently against it as I was originally. The black market is mostly only an issue because the endgame grind of Destiny Rising is such an issue. And the endgame grind of Destiny Rising is such an issue because you need a maxed out character or a near maxed out character in order to full clear the endgame. So it's kind of just a string of problems. You need a near max or a maxed out unit to clear the endgame. Maxing out a unit takes a ton of time and a ton of resource investment, and the black market just swoops in, being that way to spend and shorten that grind, which makes it feel like the grind is intentionally made long in order to incentivize people to spend on the black market so they can get it shorter, so they can get to playing their characters well better. But throughout this entire video, he's kind of just going through everything, showing all the different sources of materials and how they are often very, very weak in comparison to the paid options, in particular the black market. Here we can see that there's still the option to purchase keys, or to purchase master keys for both silver and Lumia leaves. And he talks about how those keys are required to get the best mod rewards available. In particular, a new resource that you use to upgrade the exotic mods. Beyond that, he goes over the Hero's Vault over here, talking about the exotic materials locked inside of there, and additionally talks about a new bundle which gives you some pinnacle energy and more master keys. Now, this is a pretty cheap bundle, and it would really only be an issue if it's not a single purchase. This, though, also just kind of feels like, why even have this? It's just another string of monetization that is shoved in there. He shows off the journey bundles as well. Very little change with that. Then he goes in on Calamity Ops in a very similar way that I did. Among other issues, like how this is practically worthless because it takes pinnacle energy in order to get those tokens. He talks about the Light Link companions, which was another complaint that the beta players had, and he even talks about weapon perk power. And we can also see here the exotic weapon upgrade costs are still the exact same. Now, this was actually something that was slightly improved upon, not the cost, however, the rate of obtaining the materials needed. Because he shows off the legendary campaign rewards right here to complain about the extremely low drop rate of the super post photons. However, it does show that the reward claims now give 4 exotic infusion cores up from 1, meaning that instead of it requiring 13 weeks to get all the cores you needed because of the weekly lockouts, now it would only take 16 days straight of spending all of your pinnacle energy on only this activity to get enough cores for an exotic. However, you still would need the 7 super post photons. And then we get to some complaints about the new artifact system. Now, in a previous video, I talked about how I thought this slot up here was for an exotic. I was wrong in that assumption. It's instead now for some stat upgrades, and it's got like a little tree that you can spend some elemental fruit on in order to give your characters some more shields, HP, and I believe damage resistance as well. However, we can see here that exotics have now been turned into an additional rarity beyond Mythic, which I find rather boring. I definitely did not want this. I do not want exotics to just be another rarity tier. Exotics should be kept as something special. But exotics now are the next rarity up from Mythic in this new artifact system, granting an additional attribute slot. So I was right in saying that there were going to be artifacts that had 4 attributes. I was just hoping for a different implementation of it. And we can also see here that these exotics give boosts to characters of particular element types, which then also just exacerbates the issues of the exotics in the same way they were before. To where, now, I don't know if exotics still have their own intrinsic abilities beyond just what the original artifact ability is now, because of how the artifact system has been so overhauled. Some of these artifact abilities were almost exotic or exotic power in just base. So having a second ability on top of that for something that you can slot in 4 times would get out of hand really quickly. However, now you would have to get an exotic artifact, get it with the correct element, and get it with the correct set, and get it with the correct attributes. And you would also need to get the high stat attributes if you want to really min-max. We are at the exact same level of BS RNG minus the artifact leveling, which was insane before, but now it's hardly any better, especially now that you need to have 4 of them instead of just 2. And what's more is that the drop rate for these exotics is not any better at all, because we can see here that it's only an 8% drop chance. And stuff like this just confuses me so much, because it's like they heard our feedback on a lot of this stuff and they implement it so well with those system changes, and then it's like we just got rug pulled a second time. These endgame issues are still terrible, and thankfully there is still a little bit of time prior to launch where these issues could maybe be addressed. This is still a beta build that we are observing, no matter how close it is to the actual launch of the game. By nature, a beta build is completed months before they actually get released to the public. Do I think these issues are enough to kill the game? Probably not. Do I think these issues are enough to really turn people off? Definitely. And I'm really glad we're able to see these right now, prior to this, so that we can be prepped for the possibility of these still being here when the game actually releases. Thankfully, even if it ships like this at launch, it's not a permanent problem. This can always get fixed later. The only question is, will it get fixed later? These devs don't have the same history as Kuro Games does, where they have a history of being player-friendly, responsive to feedback, and also quick in implementing that feedback. For instance, when it came to the launch of the game, there was an issue with the echo system, or particularly collecting the echoes. There was a 20% chance that instead of getting a max rarity echo, you would get the purple rarity echo, the 4-star echo instead of a 5-star echo. And the very next update, they made it so that you could level up your databank enough to where it's a 100% chance for a 5-star gold echo whenever you collect one. My only hope is that they are as responsive and quick when it comes to this feedback and implementing it into the release of Destiny Rising, or as quickly after release as they possibly can. And the reason why it's so important to me is because this game is actually a really good game. Everyone I know who has gotten their hands on it and played it enjoyed it immensely. It's still Destiny. It's good Destiny. And there are so many more opportunities for this to grow and develop and become even greater of an experience than even Destiny 2 was at its peak. And I really don't want this to ship with an issue that would be so easy to solve. There are so many games that have issues when it comes to progression or the economy, etc., that are significantly more complex. This is very much just a matter of numbers. The numbers for our resource gain are just too small. Okay, we just need more stuff. If we got enough resources to build a unit completely from 0 to max within an endgame reset period, which would be about 2 weeks, or maybe even a little bit more than 2 weeks, that would be fine. However, spending 16 days worth of energy just to get the cores, not the cores and all the other materials you need to max out an exotic, just the cores, for one exotic, that's still so absurd. Not nearly as absurd as the original 13 weeks, but it's still not good enough. I'm seriously hoping that we get some more communication from the developers in the next few days leading up to Destiny Rising's release, because the marketing and social media posts that we have received for this game, while nice, have not really addressed any of the questions or concerns about the game that we've been having. That's all I really have to say on this topic. Let me know what you guys think about these issues that are still in the game, in the Chinese beta, And if you think that they have a chance to be fixed at launch, if you don't think that they have a chance, if you think that they'll even touch it or address it, let me know in the comments below. If you are enjoying my coverage of Destiny Rising and are hoping to see more guides and commentary, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Every single subscriber gives my dad a tiny bit more approval towards me. With enough, I might just get a good job from him. If you would like to talk to me more directly and interact with my growing community, make sure to join my Discord server in the link that's in the description. And as always, I will see you all next time.